Good evening, folks. Going to call the meeting to order here at the town office, 1 Academy Street, Tuesday, March 16th. It's at about 7:10. The first item on the agenda is pledge allegiance. Please join us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, liberty and justice for all.
No, it's not. No.
Ron,
No, I think that needs what it is. Agenda review. Real estate personnel. I think that's it for under executive session. Oh, yes, there is a legal. I forgot about that one. Illegal. Mark, you have anything to add? Nothing new. Earl, anything?
Nope.
Paul?
no, thank you.
Ed? No. No, good. You guys, you good?
Yeah, good, thank you. Oh, for the agenda?
Yeah.
So somewhere, I don't know, I wanted to talk about the position on the Northwest Regional Planning Commission. Remember, there was the blank, and I said that I would do it, but I don't know if Ross is here, if he'd be interested in meeting somebody else. So
Yeah, let's just put it under,
you can put it under me for all.
well, that's what I'm looking for. Where is it?
It's on
Right
16.
here, here we go. Yep, that's fine. More. Okay. Can I hear a motion to approve the March 2nd minutes from the regular meeting by Zoom?
March 3rd.
Mark, it says March 2nd on here.
Was it
March,
it
no,
was
it's March
the 3rd.
3rd.
It was March 3rd, yep.
I'll make that motion.
All right, can I get a second on that? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, got it. Public comment. Anybody else here going to comment on that's not on the agenda? I'll just say the 4th Street property is on the agenda.
I'd like to speak, please.
Okay,
Betsy Fournier. I just want to take the opportunity to thank the taxpayers of Swanton for your passing of the Swanton Recreation budget. We look forward to serving you for another year. Thank you very much.
thank you, Betsy. Anybody else? Okay, law enforcement. Do we have anything on law enforcement tonight?
The ACO report.
That's it, okay. Is there on tonight?
He emailed me the report late.
Yeah. Is there anything on, there, you know, Elizabeth?
I'm sorry, yes, Jim is on.
Jim's on, all right.
Yeah, this is Jim Benson, ACO. I have a report.
Yeah, hey, there you are.
Yeah.
Lots of pictures up there tonight to look at, didn't you?
Yeah,
How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. We're just checking your, report here. You want to go ahead and go over it, or?
Yeah, if you'd like me to.
Sure.
Yeah, March 11th, on James Road, there was some dogs went over and chased some chickens. Well, they went after the chickens. The chickens were locked up, luckily. I called the owner and he agreed to keep the dogs at home. He was expecting my call. Pardon? On the 11th, I also received a call and an email for a sanitation issue at 27 Alley Drive. I spoke with the owners at 27 and 28 of Alley Drive. They each said that it was the other's mess. And then they also then say that it might be coming from 26 Alley Drive. A lot of poop out there with the snow melting.
Okay.
On 311, I went back over for a call for a dog at large at Depot and Foundry. I found the dog down at that park down the end of Foundry. And I found the owner. It was pretty easy to find. Well, I didn't find the owner. I found where the dog lived and dropped it off.
Oh, shit, okay.
The next day I got a call for the dog again. 2 dogs were loose and in the road. I found the owner, Kelly Quinville, gave her a verbal warning for no license and dogs at large.
Okay.
And then on the 12th, I got a call for from the police department. There was 2 dogs dumped on John's Bridge.
Where is it?
A lady from 109 Woods Hill called and said that she thought that she had caught one of the dogs, brought it to her house. I went and picked up the dog, brought it to the owner. He had called by then, Kyle Brennan at 138 Grand Avenue. And later on, PD called. They said they found the other dog. So I called Mr. Brennan and he went and picked it up. It was a Sadie and Nova.
Okay,
And then on the 12th, I also received a call from PD for a dog hit by a car on Spring Street. I started to head over, and while en route, I got a call from Officer Gagne. He had found the owner and he was helping the owner get the dog out of the road. He had an fracture. He had passed.
okay.
And that's it. Any questions?
Hey, Jim, this is Mark. Can you elaborate on the two dogs dumped at John's Bridge and then you found the owner? What was it dumped at John's Bridge about?
So the owner told me that he had stopped to go to the bathroom and then to take a pee and then let the dogs out. And the dogs took off at him and he couldn't get them back in the car. They weren't really dumped. That's just how the call came in.
Okay,
He lost his own dogs, basically.
all right, thank you.
Okay. All right, good. All right, anything else for Jim? Thank you, Jim, doing a great job.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night. Oh, we forgot to put before 4th Street, when we get agenda review.
You can move to go out of order.
Yeah,
Do you have another public?
yeah, we need to, executive session for, legal before we go on to the 4th Street session.
Okay, we'll do that.
I'll take a motion in an executive session for legal.
I move that we find that we enter executive session for the select board to receive confidential legal information for which the premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
I move that based on just made findings that premature disclosure would place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage, we enter an executive session.
I'll make a second.
Yep, a second on that. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We're now in executive session.
I think we missed a second on the first one.
I think we'll be all right. Do we want to just step out real quick and then she don't have to mute everybody? Just be a couple minutes, folks.
Bring your piece of paper I gave you, please.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so let's see if we can figure out the sound issue. Bear with me.
Elizabeth, this is Betsy. I think it's just like an echo in the room.
It's coming from somewhere in the house. And I didn't touch the thing. Can you mute that one so we can?
Sounds like a sci-fi.
No, it's down here. It's back here.
I think the aliens are coming in.
Do that. Okay, so, and then, okay. Somebody said the camera's pointing at a window, but they're not. I wonder why.
Is it because you have two in the room, both in the same room, Elizabeth?
Kathy,
Yes,
you hear me?
yes.
Okay, now I can't hear you.
Okay, so Heather, you're the lucky winner. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm just randomly picking whoever shows up on my screen first. So don't be offended if I don't call on you. Okay. All right, so let's try
It's
this.
easier to just say, who can hear you, raise your hand.
I want to pick up your, oh, thank you. Okay. Okay. Is there an echo?
It's because your speaker's on here.
Okay, turn it. All right. Now do we have an echo?
No, sounds great.
Okay,
You're good.
okay, but now I gotta figure out why I can't hear you so good. Let me see what my volume is, and maybe, oh, look at that, my volume was in 19. Okay, Kathy, say something for me. Did you just say no?
I said hello.
Oh, okay.
The cat out.
Is that Anna Winters? Can you unmute yourself and say hello for me, please?
Hello.
Thank you. Neil Spear, say hello after you unmute yourself.
Yes, I can hear you, Elizabeth.
My issue is I can't hear you, so I'm trying to figure out why.
Are you the IT person tonight?
I can barely hear. My volume's up all the way.
Tommy.
Yes, JR, if you can. I don't know how long they're gonna be in executive session though. Speaker should be. Okay, let's go this way. Oh, 20 minutes. Darcy, can you say something?
Yes, we'll do everything. So we're gonna go back to.
Mute this one.
It's recording.
everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes. This is Terry, yes. I love your swan picture, Elizabeth.
Betsy?
Yes, Elizabeth.
You want the good news or the bad news?
What? Want to break it?
We can't hear them.
We can't hear him?
No matter what.
Come on.
Are you on the wrong speaker?
JR said he was coming back. JR, are you coming back? Said he was coming to help
You
us.
can send a text on the text board.
Kathy?
Yes,
Oh, you're awesome.
Okay, yeah, see, she's talking and I can't hear her.
yes.
Someone's coming in.
I hear someone waiting.
Well, that would be me leaving.
What about,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
So we can't get no voice at all.
They can hear Kathy.
They can?
That's what Joanne just said.
oh, send a direct message.
They can all hear each other.
Yeah.
Oh, I think she means Kathy Lavoy.
Oh, so, are you recording?
No.
Hey, can you go ahead and record for me, please?
Okay, we're recording right now, just so you know.
Yeah, that's fine. The other one's on anyway, the other one. Where is the other one?
It's back there.
Oh, okay.
You change the speakers.
So even if they're muted, they should be able to hear us.
They can hear
won't
us.
be able to hear
We
them.
can't hear them is the issue. You know,
Well, we can,
you
I
want,
hate to leave people waiting, but we can skip down the agenda and if you can figure out what's so they can hear, I mean, obviously we need to do talk.
Oh, what are we gonna skip to?
I don't know, that's what I was just thinking too, we can do general, the expenditures,
Liquor control.
liquor control, we can do that. Do that.
Okay, I just gotta call one of the new people that's getting a liquor license.
Oh,
I
someone's
told
doing it.
I told her it was gonna be later, she's gonna call her.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
gonna tell her, never mind.
Is it a new person?
It is.
Okay.
Hey Jenny, it's Kathy. Hey, don't worry about it because we're having technical difficulties, so I'll just speak on your behalf, okay? Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Heather,
Great. Yes.
say something.
Did you exit out of your select board to liquor control?
Not yet, but we can.
Okay.
Folks, we're just gonna skip around the agenda a little bit because we got technical difficulties and we can't hear you, but you can hear us. We'll hopefully get it fixed shortly. Let's make a motion, go in liquor controls and do the liquor
Oh, we gotta
licenses.
come out of the.
Oh, shoot, almost forgot about that part.
Go ahead,
I move that we come out of executive session.
7:30.
At 7:30. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Action taken, none. We're discussing a legal issue with zoning. And I hear a motion to go on liquor control.
I'll make that motion at 7:31.
I second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And now liquor control. What do we have, Kathy?
Okay, we have three renewals, North Country Bait and Tackle. The Dollar General.
Yep.
Cog Island Market. There are 3 renewals and there are no violations on any of them.
Okay.
Well, I move that we approve those.
Yep. All right. You got a motion? You got a second? You got a second on that? All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it for those 3 liquor licenses.
Okay, and we have one new one.
And one quick, oh, you got a new,
I have
another one? Okay.
one new one, and she was gonna call in, but because the technical.
Okay. Who is it?
It's Jennifer Fournier.
Okay.
She is going to be running Fiddlers on the Green
at the Swanton Country Club. She's taking
Okay.
over swimmers.
Yep,
She's gonna be doing the cooking there, and
Yep.
she's doing the same first 2 class licenses and 1 third class, which is the serving inside.
yep. And
part-
on the green.
part on the green, and then
Yep.
the outside serving.
Okay,
So she has 3, and she's done her training. She's got all of her licenses and everything in order, her insurances.
Yep.
She's taken the class, so she's done everything she's had to do.
I know
She read
Jennifer.
herself, but she can help.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
I make a motion that we approve that resolutions.
All right.
I'll second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have
I
it.
want to make note that I abstain because that could be a conflict of interest.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you can sign these.
Did we just lose sound?
Yeah, I don't hear them anymore.
I'm texting Elizabeth.
Not working yet.
All right. No.
Let's do expenditures. Let me just sign this and remove that. Oh, I already signed those. Sign that one. Oh. Nicole, yeah, I did all that stuff. Here's these 2 for you, Nicole.
Holding up the line.
We'll do general orders first. Cool. Okay, your motion to approve the journal orders?
I'll move it.
Second on that?
I'll second.
Take a second to look at them.
Oh, yes.
Any other discussion on the general? Anybody else?
I don't have anything.
None.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
Motion to accept the highway order dated February 17th, 2021 to March 16th, 2021.
I second that.
All right, take a second to look at them. What's that?
$1,955 for the guardrail.
Yeah, that was the ones that got damaged on the Woods Hill Road there. I'm sure it's paid for.
We got reimbursed. so-
We got reimbursed. We did get the check.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we did
okay,
that.
good.
So I do have a request for you to speak up.
Speak up?
Yes.
Okay. Darren Mask is feeling it, I'm sure.
Well, some of it is thinking aloud.
The Quam Shore feasibility study, is that our share that's in there? That's why we're paying this, or
But we pay it all, and then we
then you
get
get reimbursed?
reimbursed after.
Okay.
Well, we get reimbursed in phases. I should say.
Hey, Vermont Gasco, Kathy, that's just here.
We're not gonna- On the, which,
highway, sorry.
Actually,
Never mind.
there's one.
Which one? Highway or general?
The highway, that seems a bit, quite a bit.
Well, that's the main garage and the little garage as well.
Okay.
It's the two garages. Kathy, you need to speak up.
Is that just for a month?
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's for a month.
Wow.
That's what caught my attention.
Yeah,
But you gotta figure when they're plowing, those bays are open.
yeah. It does take a lot, I'm sure.
Can we keep the small one heated too in the winter?
Yeah, yeah, well, we got animal control goes in
Oh,
there,
sure.
their dogs, and we got other equipment in there too, so. Yeah, it's not on 70, I can tell you that, but, yeah. Anything else for highway?
None.
All in favor, yeah, we already, no, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. And payroll. Your motion to approve payroll?
I'll make the motion to approve payroll dated February 17th, 2021 to March 16th, 2021.
Second.
All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. All right. You have some cheats for us, Kathy? Okay. That's done. Any luck on the speaker?
And tested it while we've been going through it.
Okay. What's that?
I have moved, can you hear me? I have moved the
Speakers.
speakers. I've asked for people to speak up.
Test 1, 2. Can you hear me?
I can hear
Hello?
Joel talking, but I can't hear him.
Hey, he's got a thumbs up.
Hello?
You?
Hello?
We can hear you.
No, I'm board members, trying to see if the board members
We
can.
never had this problem.
James
This is
said
new.
you can see your mouth, but he can't hear you.
I can hear something.
So, yeah, I can hear something now. You said that, but something not plugged in right?
Hello?
External speaker.
And I'm afraid to touch anything because I'll screw that up. 'Cause I don't-
Oh.
And it would be a public hearing, right?
Yeah, of course it would.
Joel?
Just for
can you
me.
say
Good
something
evening.
for me?
Good evening. Good evening. What about restarting your Zoom meeting?
All right, wait a minute. I hear that.
Hello?
Yeah, I can barely hear.
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2.
I need to quit looking at the chat.
No, they got you out of the meeting. They're in no hurry to get you back in.
So what I'm gonna do is
Yeah, I saw it.
I'm gonna zoom in on my cell phone.
We've really never had this problem before.
What about an external speaker?
That's what I'm right.
Well, here's what but okay, but if this is so old that it will not connect to my new Chromebook.
Well, then if you need to buy a new one, then.
Put on the town.
That's the issue.
Yeah, if that's the issue, then we need to buy a new one, because this is, I think it's gonna be the way of the meetings for quite some time.
All right.
Yeah, there we go.
Neil, please let me hear you, and I don't say that very often.
He's so weird.
I don't think.
There he goes. Yeah. What was that, Elizabeth?
All right.
Can you hear him now?
No.
Elizabeth, you said something. What was it?
You gotta shut the water off because it's too hard to hear.
Bill, you're not muted.
There we go.
That's all I said. Can you hear me now?
Hold on.
Oh, someone's at the door. Must be the-
That's twice down here. They need to be here. We need to- This is crazy.
All right. Can you hear, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh,
You
I
hear
can
us?
hear you. Yes,
As you open the door, it works.
I do apologize. So,
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2.
yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We're all-
Have you run the camera while he's here?
Oh.
That feedback is likely caused because so having a laptop right next to these mics and having both of these computers on Zoom is basically playing the mic sound back into the mics, and then it's playing that sound into the mics, and that's a feedback loop. So you can't have both of these playing sound at the same time.
Well, we weren't,
Okay.
I don't think, but then it was which laptop was the camera attached to and all of that stuff, so it's attached here.
Okay.
Because I think it was attached here because that one wasn't working, but then people couldn't hear, so I moved it over there and that's where it all went to. I hope we're not being recorded to hell.
Okay. Is it all right to have this one on mute or?
That's the one that they're talking into and from.
Okay, so then is this one still?
This one can be muted.
Okay, so let's mute that one and then we should be able to unmute this.
Okay, okay. Okay.
So that should solve the feedback loop problem.
Test it again.
Okay.
So can they hear us?
Yep.
Is there somebody?
Joel, can you hear us?
Loud and clear.
Perfect.
And
We can hear them.
Okay, so we should be good to
Oh my
go.
gosh, I think we're ready.
Thank you, everybody, for your
Thank you.
patience.
Yep,
Sorry about that.
we're all set. Yeah,
All right.
I guess he's not gonna have the camera for us.
They're not supposed to be here.
Oh, is that it?
Okay. I'm not touching anything,
They were here last week.
but I am gonna ask you
Yeah.
to remember to speak up so folks can hear you.
I know, so I don't see. Okay. Sorry about all the confusion and the delays, guys, but here we go. Public comment. We're here to discuss the Forest Street discussion, the public hearing for the Forest Street land. What did you put on page 3?
There is a notice in there.
Notice for it. I probably should read that, huh?
Short one.
Yeah, if I can find it.
It's right after the agenda.
There you are.
Page 4, yep. Somebody want to read it? No, doesn't matter to me. Public hearing notice for the sale of the Forest Street land, Tuesday, March 16th, 2021, that, well, we'll change the time to 7:45 by Zoom and for the public. Notice hereby given to the select board will conduct a hearing to take input, public input on the board's decision at its February 2nd, 2021 meeting to accept an offer of $100,000 for the purchase of the undeveloped land at 23 Forest Street in Swanton. The land is level and approximately 1.2 acres plus or minus. A map of the land is attached to the notice on the town's website public notice page. The select board decision to accept the offer will be discussed at the hearing. All citizens who want to comment or ask questions during the hearing may also do so by following the Zoom login instructions. The citizens may also submit their letters of comment, which many of them did, by writing, email to town administrator. There's Zoom only access for this meeting. Anyone desiring to participate and listen to the meeting by cell phone or landline should dial 1-646-558-6556 and enter the meeting ID number of 851-7629-3612. When prompted, and you can announce your name. I don't think I need to read the rest of that. It's all, we got the gist of it. Do we want to open it to the public? Or do you want to speak after? I have this. Another read.
Yeah, maybe you could just give them some insight.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to read it all, but
No,
up to you.
I would like to speak as well.
you like to what?
I'd
Speak?
like to speak.
Go ahead. You want to speak first? Yeah.
If I may, I'd love to address the board. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to digest all of the information that we've received together. I'm really proud of the community and how many people are here tonight, as well as how many letters and phone calls I've received over the last few weeks from community stakeholders, businesses, neighbors, children. And I've been so grateful to receive all of it, both positive and negative. We each bring a special vision and healthy discussion to the future of Swanton, and I think that's exactly where we all need to begin. Each and every one of you have inspired me in one way or another to put forth more research and effort. And we all have a dream of working together as one Swanton to work collectively. And I believe we have a great opportunity over the next few years to develop Swanton into Vermont's one of most sought after places to explore. I think just as we're moving forward, I've done a lot of research on the public land, and I think we really need to take the time to evaluate it and see what kind of asset it has to the community. I brought forth lots of research and something I'm just going to share on the table about how public green space creates value for communities, whether we choose to sell the land, which is not something I'm opposed to. I think we do need to take more time to evaluate and listen to different options on which direction it could go. It could create offerings for bikers and hikers and walkers. I know there is non-motorized usage of it, but it could create equestrian enthusiasts, wanderers, dreamers, and explorers. As leaders and stakeholders, you know, we just really need to consider the amenities that we have here in Swanton for visitors. On a meeting earlier, the week before last, I met with the folks in St. Johnsbury, and it has brought, the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail has brought a lot of interest into their community, and I feel that it could do the same to ours. And I think before we make a decision on moving forward, that we should all look at the Vermont statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan to see if that piece of property could fall into something that could pose multiple benefits to not only outdoor recreations, but to the community as a whole. I've also brought a list of stakeholders that I feel that could have vested interest, not only in the property, but in our community as a whole, moving forward as outdoor recreation. So thank you for listening, and I appreciate you all.
Thank you for your information. I appreciate that. Anybody else want to speak? Or? Okay. I have a letter here, and the only reason I'm reading it, it gives a lot of background of where this piece of property came from and how they came up with the sale price and that.
James?
I hear a minute.
James?
Yeah?
Dick Thompson here.
Yeah, sir.
Is that my letter?
It is, sir.
Do you mind if I read it?
Absolutely. If you'd like to read it, you go right ahead.
The only reason I'm asking is I might want to intersperse some comments along the way.
Okay.
That's okay?
Yeah, hang on 1 minute. Did anybody else want to speak before we open it to the public? Because it's technically open to the public. Okay. Go ahead, Dick. I'll let you speak, and then we'll open it up to the rest.
I've since had some thoughts and I may want to add some comments to the letter. But I'm going to read the letter. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the 4th Street land sale. I would like to respectfully request that my letter be read as part of the comments of the public hearing. I feel compelled to comment since I was very involved in all aspects of the 4th Street property. I would also like to make some points that I have not heard considered that are of importance to the future of the 4th Street property. I would like to begin with an observation. When the new town garage was built, the voters approved an article at town meeting on March 6, 2012, that authorized the select board to pay down the debt on the loan with proceeds from the sale of town properties. The article passed by a vote of 579 to 300, almost by 2 to 1. That might lead one to wonder why we are even here tonight. Of course, we know why people are here tonight. We live in Swanton, a very community-minded town, and people get involved. That's why we're here. In past discussions, it seems that some have questioned how the original sale price of this 4th Street property was determined. As a former real estate agent and as the town administrator, the select board requested that I evaluate the property. We felt that we had an obligation to get the best possible price for our taxpayers. We looked at the best and highest use for the property in conformance with the character of the neighborhood and approved uses. It was our opinion that multifamily housing was the best and highest use for the property. I used Swanton Packing, the former slaughterhouse on Blake Street, as a comparable property. It being 1.76 acres, abutting the fit and healthy bike path and abutting the John R. Raleigh Recreation Field. Champlain Housing Trust purchased the property for $320,000 on August 8, 2009, and developed 16 housing units now known as Blake Commons. The 4th Street property is 1.2 acres, abuts the fit and healthy bike path, and is across from the Swanton Elementary School. Very similar properties. Therefore, I assumed the cost to be $20,000 per housing unit and applied that to the 4th Street property. Assuming 1.2 acres would yield 12 units at $20,000 per unit, therefore valuing the lot at $240,000. As I recall, the select board chose to round it up to $250,000. I would like to point out, in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, there is a multifamily senior dwelling 1 street over on Platt Street, 380 feet away. Blake Commons on the next section of the fit and bike path, 1,325 feet away. And another 21 unit multifamily dwelling on Meadow Lane, 1,325 feet away. While I am somewhat disappointed in the current proposed selling price, I believe that land has sat idle long enough and it's time to get it on the tax rolls. But again, I'm certainly not opposed to waiting a while and looking at other proposals for the property. I think that's fair, and I think it's a good option. One other point that I feel strongly about that needs to be addressed is that the fit and healthy rec path and the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail, LVRT, must be independent of one another. I was Swanton's representative on the Friends of LVRT for a number of years while I was town administrator. There is one distinct difference in our path and the trail. Our path is a paved, non-motorized path with emphasis on fit and healthy and non-motorized. And that was the understanding when the Vermont Department of Health granted the town of Swanton the $36,000 grant to construct the path. All of the signs at the entrance to the path clearly state that it is a non-motorized path except for wheelchairs. More importantly, when we were planning the path, we held 3 public hearings on site, one at each section of the path, in which each of the abutting landowners were warned to attend. The hearings were well attended, and we clearly assured the landowners that there would be no ATVs or snowmobiles on our path. The LVRT is a gravel trail and was initiated, engineered, and driven by VAST, the Vermont Association of Snow Travelers and V-Trans. And by the way, folks, I can assure you, if there was no VAST, there would be no LVRT. We cannot allow snowmobiles on our path now. To do so would ruin our relationship and credibility with the abutting landowners on our path. For the most part, we have enjoyed a very harmonious relationship with the abutting landowners. It is my hope that that relationship continues. I would also like to point out that I am on our fit and healthy rec path quite frequently, and I have seldom, if ever, seen a vehicle parked at the 4th Street property for use as path parking. It is only a 1 mile path, and there are plenty of options on a 3-section 1 mile path to preclude its use as a path parking area. And it certainly should not be used as path parking for snowmobiles in the middle of a R5 residential district. The LVRT ends at Robin Hood Drive, and there is state of Vermont owned property at both sides of the end of the trail that could be utilized. And that was discussed at the meetings I attended. I went to meetings once a month for several years. They were all held in the St. Johnsbury area. That area is closer to proximity services, food, fuel, and restrooms in the travel service area, the TSA area that snowmobilers and other users would be looking to utilize. None of these services are available in the R5 residential district in which the 4th Street property is located. Coincidentally, and I've got a couple of question marks there, a 5.62 acre parcel which is mostly wetlands that fronts on Robin Hood Drive and Route 78 in the travel service area district was being clear cut with a for sale sign affixed on Saturday. This would be a very acceptable property for a trailhead for the LVRT. But if you're familiar with the LVRT, where it ends on Robin Hood Drive, there are two parcels, one on each side of the LVRT that is state owned. And I finished it, but please contact me if I can be of further assistance or if you have questions or require additional information. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. That's great information. Appreciate it. All right. Joel, would you like to speak? See your hand up there. Try to.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, Joel Clark. Good evening. First, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to provide public input tonight. Second, I want to congratulate James, Nicole, Ed, and Earl on your successful campaigns for your select board positions. In the 9 years since Swanton went to a 5-member board, we have never seen such numbers running for vacant seats. This is great stuff for Swanton, so thank you. I think for the most part, I'm speaking on behalf of the Swanton Enhancement Project, and the code chair are here tonight, and they can pipe in at any time they think I'm wandering off track, but I'm pretty sure I've got their go ahead. During the 16th February Select Board meeting, 4 of you heard several of us speak out about why the sale of the 4th Street property should be delayed. I believe a copy of our letter is in at the end of your packet. After taking public comment input, you graciously agreed to have this public hearing to gather further input on possibly delaying the sale of the 4th Street property. Without going into too much detail discussed that evening, I want to highlight a few of the arguments for delaying the sale and looking at alternative uses of the property. As you know, this property is located on the Richard Dick Thompson Fit and Healthy Rec Path. It's a short distance from the western terminus to the Moyle Valley Rail Trail. It's already been mentioned tonight. It's also located across the street from the Swanton Elementary School. It's a short distance to the rec fields. It's also a short distance to the Village Green and the Swanton downtown. The recent completion of the western section of the LVRT has highlighted this piece of property as something that could be used to enhance the recreational experience for members of our community, and just as importantly, help attract more visitors to Swanton. Regarding the Fit Path and the LVRT, I want to make it very clear that whatever we propose, if given the chance, we understand that no motorized vehicles will be allowed on the existing rec path. Let me repeat that. We want to make it very clear that if we are given a chance to propose some alternatives, we understand that no motorized vehicles will be allowed on the rec path. The recreational opportunity is more than just the 4th Street property. Mr. Thompson just mentioned that. The recent construction has brought attention to the need to look at what can be done along Robin Hood Drive, the 4th Street property, and the existing rec fields. The Swan Enhancement Project Swanton Recreation Department, and other interested parties are asking for the opportunity to present a comprehensive plan to the select board for their consideration. In our original letter, we asked for 1 year, so we're asking for the final plan would be submitted no later than February of 2022. And we would meet with you sometime before then to go over what we were looking at and get feedback. Another important item tonight is to just remind everybody, once this piece of property is sold, it no longer becomes available for greater public benefit. Since the 16 February meeting, the following agencies have submitted or pledged to submit letters of support delaying the sale: Swanton Recreation Board of Directors, Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation, Northern Tier Center for Health, the Missisquoi Valley School Board, Judy Ashley, Vermont Department of Health District Director, retired. Swanton Planning Commission pledged a letter of support, and I know I see Jim Hubbard, he's here tonight to speak about the possibilities. And although not a letter, I think the March 5th editorial by Mr. Emerson Lynn is significant on its own. Swanton Enhancement Project, as I mentioned, sent their original letter on 15 February. Besides the organizations listed above, we're aware that several individuals and families have sent letters supporting the delay of the sale. As I reviewed the letters of support in your packet, I counted more than 40 names asking for the sale to be delayed. Since that count, I'm aware of at least a half dozen more that did not make it your way. I'm sure a large number of those on Zoom tonight are in support of the delay as well. The meeting took place on Friday, March 5th, as was mentioned earlier, between the leaders of St. Johnsbury and Swanton to discuss the LVRT and what St. Johnsbury has accomplished to date. I know Deb Winters and Christine Sweeney have comments on that conversation. I'll end by saying there's a lot of potential here tonight to take a positive step forward for the community. By delaying the sale for 1 year, as Swanton Enhancement Project originally requested, and taking the opportunity to develop a comprehensive plan to improve the recreational opportunities for Swanton, we're setting the stage for something we can look back 20 years from now and say, yes, it was worth it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Next. Who else would like to speak?
Somebody like to raise their hand?
I'll go ahead.
I see Jim there. Here we go. How you doing, Jim?
Good evening, everybody. I'll be as brief as possible. We've got a lot of people interested. Representing the Planning Commission, 4 or 5 years ago, we went through a major rewrite of our town plan. Shortly after that, the Planning Commission held a meeting of our joint legislative body. We put that as our #1 priority to discuss these recreational community center type issues that are in front of us right now that this property may or may not be part of. But over the past 30 years, the town of Swanton has updated its town plan every 5 years. And I can tell you, being part of every one of those, that we need as a community to review that 147-page document of our town plan. There are many, many paragraphs and areas in that plan that discuss issues just like this, that we need to form a committee and review this and get back to the select board before we make any decisions on a piece of property that basically can't be replaced in another 100 years if you sell it. It's adjacent to our schools, our recreation center, and it's a center of our community. So on behalf of the Planning Commission, and I know our views haven't changed in the last 5 years, it's essential that we take time and do the right thing here, because $100,000, 10 years from now, if we need to add on to the school and everybody says no, who knows? It's adjacent to our school. 10 years from now, maybe we only allowed 5 people in the classroom. I'm in education now and it's a nightmare. We don't know what's coming down the road. But to think we'd sell a piece of property that could hold additional parking, playground, facilities, indoor facilities, whatever, for $100,000, it would probably cost us $1 million to buy an acre and a half back 10 years from now to have adjoining property. So it's basically all I have. I invite anybody on the select board to review that 147-page document. And it's very clear that that's what we need to do before we sell this property.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Put your hand up if you'd like to speak.
Yes.
Right there. Who we got here?
Ed.
I know Ed.
Yeah, Ed. 25 years ago, I went to a meeting in Morrisville when they announced the rail trail was going to be built from Swanton to St. Johnsbury. Went to a couple of others, and the big thing that they stressed all the way through was a walking trail. And we're almost to that point of being an opposite side of the state now. I also think of the people over on 4th Street. That's been a residential street for years. You put a parking lot there. Where do you go at 2 o'clock in the morning to have one more drink before you go home? You go to a dark parking lot. Parking lot, if ever one showed up there, I would say from dawn to dusk, that's it. No picnic tables, parking lot, period. You get out of your car and start walking. Let's not have picnic tables. And then everybody who's lived on 4th Street for many years has all of a sudden a pool in their backyard or whatever. 4th Street is a narrow street. If you have people going through there with trailers, snowmobiles, it's going to be difficult. So I think we need to go back to look at our lease of that land from the St. Jane LC. See what's in there that it says we can do, what he can't do. Now, maybe there's room over by Robin Hood Drive. The railroad must still own some land over there. There was a junction there of trains going north, south, and east and west. So there had to be a lot of land for that. Now, probably some of that could be easily turned into a parking lot. Not too far from a few restaurants if somebody wants to go and get something to eat. Right off Route 1st Street, 105, whatever it is, 78. So maybe there's a lot of other options that we could find, that we could use some more railroad land. We could change the use of that land. A place for seniors to gather for lunch. I understand the Boy Scouts are having a hard time to find for a meeting. There's a lot of uses for that land, and I just think that we ought to give it a good second look. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Go ahead. Who wants to go next?
Anybody?
Well, also quiet. There we go. That's it.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you again for the opportunity to speak on the 4th Street property. This is Betsy Fournier. It's no surprise that the Swanton Recreation has continued to expand. And it's no surprise to the previous select board that we have come to you about space issue in our community and how we've presented you with opportunities, revenue that we could bring in for opportunity to the community and to kind of defer the cost to our taxpayers. We tried to apply for a municipal planning grant to kind of give us some sort of idea of, you know, space we currently have. We didn't get the municipal planning grant, but that's open up again this year. I guess we just need the time to figure out, do we have the space at the rec department, or is that 4th Street property an opportunity for us as well? There's a lot of opportunity there. And yes, I know that property sat there for 8 years, unsold. But now there's a buyer and the communities come together. Like Dick said, we're Swanton, we come together when, you know, we want something done, we all join together and we try to come up with a solution. And that's why we're here tonight. to kind of come up with a solution on that property. What's best for our community? Where do we see the future of our community? Where do we see the vision of our community? Is it to expand outdoor recreation, economic development in our community? Yes, that's all that property can do for us. It's right across from the school. It's right on the Dick Thompson path. It's got opportunity. No, we're not going to have motorized vehicles on that path. We'd never allow that to happen. As a community, we would just be like, no. And there's also opportunity for growth down the road to Robin Hood Drive for parking of snowmobiles or ATV trailers or horse trailers. I mean, all of those people are going to come into our community, and we just need to give them that opportunity to come into our community and see what an amazing community we are and what we have to offer. And all of the people in this room tonight, we have a lot to offer to this community. I think it's really important that we take the time to figure out what that property has and what it can do for our community as a whole. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Betsy. Anybody else?
Adam and then Chris, does that work?
Sure.
Hi, I'm Chris Sweeney. I live on McQuam Shore Road, and I'm a volunteer for the Healthy Community Task Force, which is part of the SCP. And I was one of the people who a couple weeks ago was on a Zoom call with St. Johnsbury. And it just, I think, really amazing what that community's done and what the LVRT has brought to that community. And I just am really hopeful that the select board grants us a delay so that we can look at things. I mean, I'm not opposed to the sale. Tyler is doing what a businessman does. You know, he wants us to buy that land. Don't begrudge him at all. It's just really looking at the greater vision for one Swanton. So, I'll reiterate what's been said. We don't want to put, snowmobile trailers at that, that parking lot on 4th Street. We don't want to open the trail to motorized vehicles. We want to just jump off from what that Fit and Healthy Trail has already brought to Swanton. I mean, that's an amazing place. I walk there almost every day, and it's highly, highly used. What a great gem that is. So let's just take the time to build on that and see what else we can give to Swanton and bring into Swanton by having the community come together. Let's just have a delay, please, and see what we can come up with. I know people are worried about who's going to pay for whatever gets proposed. And just one of the things I thought was really great about St. Johnsbury is how much they have leveraged grants, like enormous grants. The Northern Border Regional Commission gave them $425,000. And there's a lot of money out there right now for outdoor recreation. So I hope once again that Select Board will give us time to think through that part of it, because we know that nobody likes their taxes to go up. People can't afford more taxes. But maybe there's a way to work around the money thing that's acceptable for the bigger, greater vision of what we want for Swanton. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Adam?
Sure, whoever said was next.
Yeah, Adam?
Hi, thank you, Adam Paxman. I would just like to request that this go out to a townwide vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Michelle?
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. This is Michelle Nordberg. Of course, I did send in a letter of support for postponing or just putting a pause on this. I want it to be said that I thank the board for their fiscal responsibility to entertain the sale and for managing our debts. So any request here does not diminish the responsibility that you guys have been taking on our behalf. I also appreciate and support Mr. Stanislaus' investment in our community. So it's not that I'm principally opposed to the sale, it's that my request to pause is only to urge the due diligence by the community leaders who have spoken here tonight and by yourselves as our town officials
to do your due diligence to make sure that if sale is the decision, it's the right decision and it's an informed decision. So I would also echo Adam's request and appeal, based on the points that have been already raised, and I don't need to be redundant. So I would like this to have pause for us to do consideration. And if, in January, February by time we have to do a warning, if it's appropriate to put to vote, then I would like that to be considered at that time based on mutual collaboration of community leaders and yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Michelle. Anybody else want to speak? No. You got one hand, couple hands here.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were letting, I know I have a unique first name, so you probably were avoiding saying my first name. I'm Yeshua. This is my wife, Colleen. We actually have an adjacent property to that location. And I think we're in agreement with what a lot of people said tonight. I think I'm not necessarily opposed to a sale, but I'm certainly would like more time to really dive into it, come up with possibilities, potentially even a small committee of community members who maybe would work on options and a plan. Since we do live where we are, we constantly see people using the trail, accessing the trail, and it's such a nice location that I truly love the idea of some more community-focused plan to just help to enhance it. Because in the summertime, it's amazing how many people are out and about all times a day. And, we're outside doing yard work and hi, how are ya? As people go onto the trail. So we're certainly would love to get more time to come up with more ideas. And I actually, sorry, I forgot to mention, I really appreciate the time and I appreciate even all your tech issues that you're still letting us, speak on behalf of what we're thinking. So thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for chiming in as a budding property owner also.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
One quick question, I guess.
Yeah.
Either Joel or Chris probably I saw this, they went to St. Johnsbury, but where does the trail, the terminus in St. Johnsbury? Is it downtown, up on the hill, or?
I have no idea.
And somebody else can correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't actually been there, but
Oh, okay.
well, what they said though in the Zoom call is it's like a mile or a mile and a half from the terminus of the trail to downtown. And they built a pavilion, which was their way of drawing people and connecting the end of the trail into downtown so that, people don't leave without going into the businesses. Debbie, maybe you can help better with that.
Okay, thank you.
I'll only comment on that question, Ed, but they did mention to us that they've got 3/4 of a mile between the trailhead and the central business district. And so that they've been working, they had the trail, the piece of the trail in St. Johnsbury was completed there in 2015. So they've had a lot of time to really take advantage of it, but they still have that disconnection. And that's where Swanton is super lucky. We have that connection. That trail at Robin Hood Drive connects directly into our Fit and Healthy Path, which connects directly into our village and central business district. So we're really lucky. They're still working on it.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah, this is Michelle. I'd just like to piggyback on what Debbie and Chris said. Because they didn't have that ready, they are still working on it, but it is a specific goal to make that connection. And we are ahead of the game on that piece, but they recognize that it's still a little bit of a deficit for them, that it's a goal.
Thank you, Michelle. Anybody else that hasn't spoken want to speak?
Judy, Ashley?
Yes, thank you very much. First, I want to say thank you for having this public meeting. I reiterate what everybody else has said. And I just wanted to say what a great problem you have tonight. You have about almost 60 people here who are concerned about a piece of property in our town. When I first got involved with Swanton, I was a new district director for the health department out of St. Albans. And I lived in the city, St. Albans City. I am now a Swanton resident, and my heart is with Swanton. There are so many people on this Zoom call I haven't seen in a long time, not just because of COVID, but for a lot of other reasons. It's great to see so many people that are engaged and active and want to participate. You just don't know how rare that is. And when we got the first grant that led to the Rec Path Now, we had a lot of people involved at that time. The health department was involved and a lot of other agencies as well as community members. And we did a thorough analysis of what people wanted. And there were a lot of things that were on the table. And finally, because what the people wanted to do was do the Rec Path, that happened. And many people that are involved right now know all of the work that took, community work. So Swanton is known for that, I guess. That's my bottom line. And I think this is a great opportunity to take a step back. I was impressed with Nicole Draper, already came up with some ideas. There's a lot of information out there. Talk to people. If we can vote on it, that's another way to get people's input. But this is a great problem to have. So thank you again for having this open meeting and listening to the constituents. I think it goes a long way in saying what a great community Swanton really is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Priscilla Conley?
Thank you. And I'll echo what everybody else has said, and thank you for allowing us to come in and speak today. I would just like to reiterate, I hope that the board does allow some extra time to pass. As many others have said, I'm not necessarily against a sale. I just would like to make sure that we look at all of the options. I also think it's important to note that Swanton is growing. We are the largest elementary school in this state. We're continuing to grow. Young families are choosing to move here for a variety of reasons. I think that is going to continue to be the case as St. Albans continues to develop. People are moving away from Chittenden County into Franklin County, and I would love Swanton to be able to take advantage of that. One way to do so, as Nicole, thank you for mentioning, is the family opportunities and having this amazing new playground that we were able to do at this school, expanding the fit and healthy path. I'm out there very frequently with my kids. It's a safe place that I can go and know that they are okay on bikes and scooters. And having more resources for young families is nothing but a benefit to our town and our village. And so just would like to echo everyone else's sentiments. I hope that you take the time. And again, just thank you for hearing from us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Priscilla?
Got Dawn down here, I think was first.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Don?
Yes, thank you very much. Don't mean to cut ahead of somebody. I too was on that conversation with St. Johnsbury, and I have a little familiarity through my time in the legislature when we were talking about the fitness trail. And actually, one of my proudest moments was when we got a grant to put that bridge over there so Ron Kilburn could connect the transportation center with the path. But what I want to speak tonight is that from that meeting and what I know about St. Johnsbury, they also have gained the support of local businesses. And we're always talking here in Swanton about how can we get local businesses, how can we bring new ones in, how can we bring people here to spend money, how can we support the current businesses. And I think if we get the 1 year to really look at this thoroughly, there are some opportunities to expand and enhance and bring in new businesses down in our central business district. So as much as I like what people were talking about grants, I think grants are wonderful. But I think to get private businesses involved in this discussion, if there's a committee, will be a real positive thing, because wouldn't it be nice to get some upgrades of businesses downtown and support for those that are already there. So let's not overlook an opportunity that brings money into the community from outside the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
Priscilla?
Thank you very much. I'm new to this conversation and I'm just learning about 4th Street property. But being here tonight, I appreciate all this conversation and people that are caring about this community and want to see it grow. And I want to say something very simple that's probably obvious, that land and real estate is a commodity. And it's a highly marketable commodity. And I don't see anything but that getting stronger as we go through time. Vermont properties, the values have gone up and I think are going to continue to go up. So I just want to say, like, this is something special that we have. And even though it's been up for sale, it seems like waiting a year or really thinking about this and giving it more time is just a very, very good decision. So I'm agreeing with many, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Thank you.
I see Kathy with her hand up, Elizabeth.
Kathy?
Yes, Kathy Lavoy, thank you to the board for hearing all of us. I as well submitted a letter, and a few points. The conversation around the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail for the municipalities here in Franklin County will actually start next week. And then the conversation will continue across the multiple regions of the rail trail. So what the rail trail can be and what it was envisioned to be is just beginning. It's just starting. And Swanton, of course, at the other end of the trailhead on that is critical to that conversation. The way in which we might be able to leverage and capitalize across the region, across the entire trail is unlimited. So the time that it takes to have that conversation, I believe, is critical. And to be clear, I am not opposed personally to eventually, if that's what we decide on, housing being there. In my day job, I'm working all of the time to try to find housing, sufficient housing stock for this region. So housing is certainly a critical part of our region. However, as many have said, you know, what we're talking about is the cost of land versus the value of that land and the value of that property to this community. We could not even come up with a number as far as I'm concerned. And that value, as Priscilla just said, is just going to continue to increase, not only as property values increase, but also as our community grows and we decide as a community what's important to us. So thank you for giving us this opportunity tonight, and thank you hopefully for giving us another year to start the discussion on what's really the biggest value for this community.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak that hasn't spoken? Anything over there?
James.
Yep. Gordon, go ahead.
What? Where'd my camera go?
I got you.
Oh, you got me. I just
Yep.
wanted to say something really quick. Everyone's gotten to a lot of points here, and it's great to see a small community like Swanton be able to express themselves and have the select board and everyone listen to our views in a respectful way. And I think that's very important. And thank you to the select board, and thank you for everyone on the call. I do just want to give a shout out to the developer, Tyler, who has certainly got into, he's a developer, he's a successful developer. I see a lot of his family on the call here today. They're all successful developers and business people. And I think when Tyler was approached by the select board to buy this property, I don't think that he probably envisioned that he would be sitting in this meeting with 60 people talking about what would be right on that land. So I think for Tyler to be as respectful as he has been, and his family as respectful as they have been, he deserves a lot of credit, as well as all of them, to think that he was going to sign a purchase and sale or buy a piece of property, and now he's on a Zoom meeting with 60 people at 8:30 at night on a Tuesday. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Yes,
Gordon.
thank you.
Gordon. Anybody else that hasn't spoken?
I'd like to say a few things.
Go ahead.
James,
Go ahead.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I'd like to start out by congratulating the select board, past and present, for their actions over on 4th Street. And I know you guys got a tough job, and it's refreshing to see that you have engaged the community. And I'd like to thank Norman Tyler, like Gordon just said. I was going to go on that anyways, because they seem to be the cheerleaders here, not just the developers, because they've gotten 60 people out to talk about that piece of property that we're discussing this evening. Like Gordon says, they've been involved in our community before, and I'd like to thank you guys for Norm and Tyler for getting the 60 people together tonight, and for the select board for listening to us. And thanks a lot, and good luck with this project.
Thank you,
Okay,
Neil.
Neil. Anybody else hasn't spoken? Anything else?
Oh, wait a minute. Yep, Sean.
Sean.
Yeah, hi, it's Sean Cheney.
Hey, John.
Doing great. Just wanted to speak on a couple other pieces here that are, I think, have been crucial to this whole conversation actually getting this big, and it's been the social media platform. And I've seen questions that were asked to the board members prior to your election of what are you going to do to bring business to the community? What are you going to do to handle things like the library? There were multiple questions that were asked. And if I was a new member of this community, which I'm sure there's probably maybe 8 or 10 of these members that are watching this right now, maybe it's their first meeting they've watched, or if I was new to the community in general, and I read some of those comments that were in the platforms that were in many cases very inaccurate on both attacks on board members, attacks on people's business practices. And I was a new member of this community. I'd really think twice about wanting to open a business in this town. And I commonly see where people are saying, hey, we need more restaurants, we need more business, we need more recreation. But when you're attacked relentlessly on social media for your business practices, whether they're true or not, why would somebody from outside the community want to come in here and open a business? And you make it difficult for somebody like me as a realtor to bring people to town and have them open business when they're relentlessly attacked. I've noticed tonight, anybody who's asked to speak has not been turned down from the board. Nobody's been shut off. Nobody's had their voices squelched. If anybody has an opinion and they want to present it to the board, any board in town, I've never seen them shut down. So if you've got concerns and issues, I hope that people bring those to the boards and have good discussion around town versus some of the, for lack of a better term, trash that I've seen put out there and misrepresented statements that are just poor to our community. And they're not what our community represents. This meeting tonight is what our community represents. Democracy is what we represent. And making sure everybody's voice is heard, whether you agree with it or not. Everybody has their opinion and has the ability to say that professionally tonight. And I hope that people, instead of taking to social media with aggression and attacks, will think twice and maybe come to these meetings instead and realize that there's a lot of good community members here. And I hope that people will continue to invest in our future here in town, because we're only going to be as good as a community that offers everything. We've got to offer recreation. We've got to offer business. We've got to offer community involvement. All these things are crucial to our environment and us being successful as a community. So I just hope that people continue to invest in our town. And if they've got issues, then by all means, bring them to the boards, because they will find help. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Sean.
Well said, Sean. Thank you.
James, could I just say, as a business owner, thank you very much, Sean Cheney.
Thank you, Gordon. Anybody else like to speak? Everybody spoke. Can you over there?
All right.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak?
Um,
What's the matter? You got somebody?
No.
Huh?
No, we're good.
You good? Okay. You.
Lisa?
Yeah, this is Lisa Lesbrunz. My mom and dad recently passed away, but their land is adjacent. I mean, it's right in it's our backyard that you guys are talking about. You know, along with Carol Winchester, Joan Luce, Paul Rushlow. This is a real important piece of land. I mean, I've watched that land go from, you know, the sad situation it was before the shed was moved to this great area. I mean, my mom and dad used to sit on the back porch and watch people walk back and forth all day long. And I really think that you guys need to take a step back, go and sit there and watch, you know, look at the people that are there. You know, I lived there for 60 years. My parents lived there for 60 years. I hate to see that land. You need to think about it before you do anything. That's all I want to say. I mean, it's an emotional thing. That's my home that you're talking about. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lisa. Appreciate it. That it?
Okay, anybody else?
Last call. Yeah.
All right, thank you very
Mark, you
much.
want to chime in?
Yeah, I'll go first. Good evening, everybody. This is Mark. Thank you so much for jumping in on this. To see this volume of people really shows what Swanton is about. It's a tough decision for all of us. The pros and cons of it are there, but I'm just excited to see this number of people excited and showing the passion for the community. Hopefully this will continue to go forward with this type of passion for anything that goes on in the community, whether it's a village or town. So I'm just proud to see that this many people came out for a piece of property. To me, it's overwhelming. So again, I thank you all.
I'll piggyback on what Mark said. First, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. It's great to have this much participation. And second of all, I've heard from the community, both sides of the story, sell it, keep it, sell it, give them time. So I've heard it both ways, and I've heard it from you folks tonight. Not all I got. You want to add it?
Yeah, I just, there again, I reconciliate everything that Mark and James has said. This is an eye opener to us because, you know, the participation that we normally have at our monthly meetings is very small. And I've had several people reach out to me in the last couple of weeks through my personal email and through my county email. I've had phone calls, and so you've been well heard. And this is, I just want to say, this is what we've been looking for all along, is to get this input. And we realize that this is a very important issue. And I feel that I can say that we will make a decision tonight in the best interest of the town of Swanton. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ed. Cole, you have anything?
I've had a time, so I'd like to give Earl time before I speak again.
Sure.
I'm really excited to be at my first meeting. Actually, that was the other meeting I tried Zoom. It didn't work for me. To have this many people coming out, whether we agree with you or not, this is great. It always is. And in fact, the board should grant what you guys are asking for just because you're involved and you're putting the effort into it, so we encourage this in the future. You know, open government is the best kind of government, but it's only really works if people get involved. My other thought on this is, I think there's a clear difference between the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail and the Swanton Rec Path. If we're gonna do this right to benefit the community, we have to find a way to make them work together, but yet maintain their character. Very important, and you know, because the people that live in the area and the original intention of the Swanton recreational path. I believe that can be done. And Swanton has an awful lot to offer as far as nature is concerned and environment. We have, there's talk of the Lake Street and down McClellan Shore, and there's also a wildlife area down there. There is the refuge down in West Swanton. There's a lot that would attract people, families here, to view the area and hopefully spend some money around here. I think it's one of the things, if it gets done and can be done right, will make Swanton an attractive place to live. And I think it's going to be a big thing for this community, but it's going to take a lot of work, you guys, a lot of work. And, as a select board member, I'd like to keep track of the progress that you're making. But it can be done, but you're going to have to do the work.
You want to chime in?
I'm really proud of our community and seeing everybody coming out today. I think it is a great opportunity to get discussion rolling, and this is so inspiring and empowering. I think there are a lot of great ideas and options, and I think we as a board need to really take the time to evaluate what we're going to do next.
Again, this is Mark. So if I may, we've taken a lot in. We want to give you the decision tonight. So as some of you may not like it, I think it's best that we have a discussion amongst ourselves. So I'm going to make a motion that we enter executive session. I move that we find that we enter executive session to the select board to receive confidential real estate information for which a premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage.
I will second that motion.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nice
No.
have it.
I'm opposed, but
You're opposed?
that's okay.
Okay.
Majority rules.
I make the motion that
Any discussion on that point?
Yeah, can we have discussion?
What's going on here?
Discussion on going into executive session?
Discussion?
That
Yes.
Everything that's been covered tonight has been in the open.
Yes.
The decision to postpone or not, I don't think is a confidential real estate issue regarding the sale of property, the dollar amount.
Are they seeking legal advice?
Hang on a minute. We're not supposed to take comment in public while we're in the middle of motion. Is that what you just said?
No,
Oh.
no. The open meeting law rules.
Hang on one second.
When someone makes a motion,
Yeah,
then you ask, are there any comments on it?
yeah.
And then if they want to comment, they can comment.
After it's seconded, yeah, before the
After
vote
it's-
takes
Right,
place,
yeah.
right. Okay.
Once it's seconded.
Yeah, well, we have a second again, so. Well, they did the first one, we never done the second motion.
Well, I think that's what they want to comment on.
Okay.
the first one.
I think the real issue here is whether we want to go in executive session. Because what we've discussed here tonight, I have to agree with Joel that there's no reason for us to go in executive session. If we're going to if a motion is going to be set out there to postpone this. Now, there may be some other issues concerning this with the person that, whatever options and this and that, but this vote here, I don't think we should be discussing it in an executive session, not if we're going to postpone it, if that's what the motion.
if I may clarify, my intended purpose of going to executive session is to deal with not so much the outcome, but part of the outcome, if we were to delay it, how long would we delay it for? Does that clarify?
Yes,
Can't you
but that's,
just someone can just make a motion. You
yeah,
don't need to
it's
talk
still not
about it.
It's still not confidential, though. It's an improper use of executive session.
And all night fiasco. Rescind your motion for the, do we need to rescind it? Do we need to finish it?
Yes, you can.
To what? What do you-
Rescind your motion to go into executive session.
The second, whoever seconded. could
I
rescind.
rescind the motion to go into executive session.
Unless someone else seconds it, then there's no motion to vote on.
I'll entertain a motion for delaying it for 6 months. And Tyler has the option at the end of 6 months if we decide to sell it for the same amount of money.
I don't think 6 months is long enough to put grant funding in place, to seek alternatives if we were to do a feasibility study. I don't think 6 months is enough time.
Yeah.
Well,
Are we out of it?
we're not, we're in open session.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, all right.
What about, how about, Nicole, if we were to, split that time? Go 9 months. Say what's on your mind, that's what.
I know, I understand. I mean, this is a lot of information to digest from all different angles.
And I will just say that we,
Seconds, that's what I mean.
we've talked to many people on that are on here tonight. And they felt that they could come back to us within 6 months with, some did with a plan and what, I will have an answer of what their intentions are. Elizabeth?
I would offer, with cycles and with so much work that may need to be done, I would suggest the end of the year, December 31st. Or December 1st, but because of the holidays.
One thought would be that if we're gonna seek, and this probably would be the proper way to do it in the end, voter approval for anything that's gonna be proposed, then it would have to be before us by the town warning deadline. You know, just like any articles or the budgets and everything have to be done by, I don't know, January 20th, whatever it is. By that deadline, we, you know, if we're gonna put something forth. And then, you know, if there's a legitimate plan that we're gonna bring before the voters, then it'll continue on.
My theory was behind the 6 months, within 6 months, they should come up with a plan of what their intentions are. And whether, I'm not saying they're gonna get all the funds and what,
Right.
you ought to be able to come up with a plan. We're gonna build this here, we're gonna build that here. This is where we're gonna try to get the money. We have a prospective buyer out there who wants to buy the property. I'm not gonna make him wait around a year. He's not gonna wait around a year. And if we can't come up with a solution in 6 months, then we'll have to come back in 6 months and make that decision.
And I don't mean to be argumentative,
Yeah.
but it's gonna take you a month or so to get a committee together, get some thoughts. I don't think 6 months is.
Well, how much is the Swanton Enhancement Committee? Are you already involved? Is this just something that is on your plate and that you're going forward with already organized?
I think this is Betsy Fournier. I'm the co-chair. Yeah, we have some plans put together, and I think what we did say 6 months, but also if we come back to you with 6 months with a concrete plan, but not funding, but a plan with funding, are you willing to give us more time, or is that a decision you're gonna wait in 6 months and see what our plan is?
And that's,
I mean-
I think there's too many moving parts. We've got Northwest Regional Planning pieces, we've got investors.
Hang on.
If I may, this is Mark again. So I would be certainly interested in going to December 31st. I would like to see a committee made, not just by SEP. Community involvement, people that are not on SEP, maybe it's the village, the town people. I think that we're all in this together. To have a committee to come up with a concrete plan. And then as well to put it to the voters, whichever they want to take.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think SEP and the letters, what we've been sending, said we would work with the Recreation Department, the Rec Committee and others. And to me, we present to the board sometime late summer, early fall, kind of initial thoughts. And that would get public input for feedback. I agree, all the funding pieces won't be in place, but if we have a plan and we have suggested sources of funding, then we've got a plan to move forward with. And every plan has to be adjusted as you move forward. But we certainly should be able to get something to you that has had the public look at it once or twice before December. That's my thoughts.
So you're saying only SEP plans won't be public?
SEP will take and work with the rec department, and we'll invite some other community members who want to participate. You know, we've got 4 or 5 residents right along along the property. We've got the planning commission, I think, could step up and have 1 or 2 members join. I think we got to limit it to maybe less than 10, but certainly a chance to put together some people and get it done.
Joel, the planning commission offered 5 years ago. I think the planning commission still is interested.
Absolutely, Jim. Thank you.
And also, just, this is Betsy again. And just like this meeting, it's going to receive a lot of community input. I mean, maybe if we only form a committee of 10 people, it's still going to be community driven. That's what makes Swanton a great community, is because we're working together to create opportunity. So whether there's 10 people at this table working together, it's still a community driven project. And there'll be community input, just like tonight. We won't leave the community out of any decision that's made.
I wouldn't want it on my shoulders as a 5-member board on a last minute vote.
Yeah, what's that? I'm not in favor of waiting till December. And the problem is if we wait till December.
I think Judy Ashley wants to speak.
Yeah, just a second, I'm talking, sorry. If we wait till the end of December, that literally gives us barely any time to put something on the ballot. We're literally gonna put it on the ballot.
What do you?
I don't think that.
Well, the thing is, you don't know how far they're gonna get.
And that's what I don't know either.
So I mean, I think getting closer to December, if there's a plan in place, then they're gonna know they'll put something on the ballot now.
Right, that's
I
why.
don't think they're gonna come to the table with nothing to offer us.
Mhm.
I think they'll go
I mean, we're
come
talking.
together as a committee and come up with their plan,
9 months.
present it to us.
Yeah,
Yeah, 9 months.
And then-
September is 6 months from now.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not doable for them to put something together to get it onto to be voted on. I think if they work and they give you a plan and the plan is acceptable and you want to put it to vote and move forward, then I think it's possible to be done, yes.
Earl, how many months do you think?
I would like to offer this out there right now is, there's gonna be a lot involved in getting this done right, because you're looking at our rec path, you're looking at the trail, how do we utilize them? Because it should be part of one plan. And that, and then you got the 4th Street property, so, you got a lot of moving parts here. I think a community vision of what they would like to see, or what we would like to see, not what we would like to see, the whole community. I think that's something that if that committee worked real hard, they could come before this board in 6 months and present that vision. Okay, it doesn't mean they got anything done,
I can hold off whether we want.
but they got an idea of what direction you're going into. And maybe that might not be the direction it ends up, because other things could come into play later on, but at least we know that we're working towards something. And the community can get involved in it, and they can let us know whether they like that vision or not. I know we have a guy on the line, and I'm certainly willing, to give him the first option if it doesn't work out. But I know he did the comments I saw in the paper that he said he was willing to work with the community. But when you got this many people this passionate about something, I think we got to let them run with it, because this will help us in the future on other issues too.
Is Tyler on?
I don't think so. I saw Norm on there, but I don't think.
Norm, are you still on?
Norm is, Tyler's on.
Tyler, are you still on?
Hold on, Susan.
Just a second, guys. I see some hands up there.
This is our.
Tyler, are you on?
We were, yeah.
Tyler?
No, I didn't see him on there.
I know Norm.
He's
Norm was
talking in the
on,
chat right there.
Can you hear me? No.
Oh,
No, Tyler, we cannot hear you.
No, can't hear you, Tyler, sorry. Now I can.
Oh, that's Susan.
No, we're trying to get Tyler.
Hold on, Susan.
Sure, you were the village meeting.
Norm, are you still on or are you left?
No,
I'm
still present.
There's Norm. Yep. There's Norm.
Norm, did you want to speak?
Audio.
Tyler doesn't have audio.
Okay.
Oh.
I say 6 months to see the vision, then we'll go from there.
I think so too. Do we give Tyler the same option in 6 months if we're not sad? We'll carry his offer and he's got first right to buy it. Not that offer still stands in 6 months if we.
I personally, I wouldn't, I'd take it off the market myself, that's just me. If the community's saying don't sell it. That's my personal.
I don't disagree with that.
What are you saying, Mark?
I'll say it, and I'll say it out loud. I think that with the public input that we have tonight, with all due respect to Tyler and what his vision is just me speaking. I think that we take the property off the market for the time being. And go 6 months out and see a vision, and we'll go from there. That's just me.
You could call it a preliminary plan, so they don't have to have everything solidified for a final plan, but get a good idea, like you said, of what a vision is.
Like a progress report almost, right?
Yeah. Judy, did you want to add something, Judy?
Yes, thank you very much. I've done community organizing for 20 years. And there's some other people that are on this call that have also been involved with community organizing. It doesn't happen quickly. It doesn't happen overnight. And I'll remind everybody, we're still in a pandemic, even though we're getting vaccinated and we're hoping that things are going to loosen up. Most of the people who are volunteering are probably working full-time jobs or have families and all the other things that go along with that, including dealing with the pandemic. I appreciate that you'd like to move this forward. I think that's really important, but 6 months in my mind and in my experience is not long enough if you want to do it right. The other question I have is, I would like to get clarity on what you all would like to see. I'm not sure who said this, but somebody said they want to see concrete plans. What does that mean? What are you expecting? What do you want to see from the community? I think that makes a difference as well. But to do this right and to get community input, do some research, look at things that already exist, not recreate the wheel, look at promising practices. We've got some really smart people right here, right now, and I'm happy to help out as well. So I think I'd like you all to just take that into consideration. I know there's a kind of a feeling to really move it forward, but I can tell you, putting something this together, it may seem like a small piece, but it's a big piece of a small piece of a bigger puzzle, I guess. So please consider that in your discussions.
If I could just ask one question of Seth, just to clarify, were you guys originally asking for 6 months or 1 year?
We'll take a year.
No, what were you originally asking? No, wait a minute.
The original letter asked for a year.
Okay,
There has been some discussion one-on-one about a time frame less than that.
Okay, but my worry is if we go a year, then we're already past the deadline for March. That's why I want to clarify. So if we're going to do anything, it has to be before that time so we can put the vote if that's what we so choose to do. That's all. Okay.
All right, Susan Collins, and then back to you.
We're gonna hang on to it. Everybody's up for comment. We're trying to figure out what we're voting on. So I'm not trying to be rude, but everyone did make their.
Do we have a motion on the floor right now? No.
No.
It's not muted.
Mr. Chairman.
So could you, Ed, could you mute, please?
Hang on, we're gonna speak first, folks.
I just have the thought that perhaps you'll have a list of 60 some odd people who have listened to this. You ought to probably see who would like to serve on a committee.
Hold on,
And
Ed.
that,
Just mute him, he's not listening.
That's what I tried to say.
We're trying to make a decision here. Just hang on, folks.
I make the motion that 9 months that we delay the sale of the property or entertain the sale of the property. I say take the property off the market for a total of 9 months. And allow a committee to be formed to come up with some kind of vision plans to go forward with the property. That's me.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
I know we've had a long
No,
discussion on it.
Yeah.
I just trying to get-
Any other discussion on the motion?
I just want to make sure that I understand what you're going, Mark.
Yep.
So we're delaying the sale for 9 months from today's date.
Yep.
Which puts us December 16th,
September.
September
right?
16th,
No, 9
9
months.
months.
Yeah.
9 months.
Yeah,
December
yeah.
16th.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, February, March.
The only concern I have with that is we're waiting until December. And if we decide at that time we want to do something for voting, we're really pushing it.
9 months is November.
Yeah, I think we have plenty of time.
No, you got time.
So November?
No, I mean,
March, April, May, June, July,
December.
August, September, October, November, December. It is December,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, but if you go December 12, 15, you got plenty of time to get something warned,
I think so.
you know, without a doubt.
Yes.
But
When do we print ballots? Isn't it January?
We have to, on our schedule, we have to have everything done for the article before we, by the,
End of January.
third week in January.
So if we have to warn something.
No, the warning, that's all when that happens.
That's
You
right.
will know by
Okay.
that
I just
when
want to
you're
make
going
sure we don't run it, you know, say we want to go to end of December and we don't have time
Yeah.
to get something done, that's all.
I just want to be clear, in your motion, Tyler Stanislaus still has first refusal to buy this property if the other plans don't go forward.
I think that we should take the property off the market from what we're hearing from this public input. I really think that we should take it off the market. And really clear, if we don't have a vision in 9 months, let's rehash it and go at it again. With all due respect to Tyler, I really think that the public has spoken, they don't want us to sell the land. As much as personally, that's not what I would want, but I'm gonna go with what the public is asking.
Well, I'm not sure we've all said that.
We're still talking.
Sorry.
We're just trying to figure out, we put a motion in, we're discussing the motion here, Gordon.
Yeah, I apologize, Mark. Sorry.
Okay, no, you're okay.
You're good.
I just think, and I beat myself up over this back and forth, we've all talked, and I just think, with all due respect, personally, and how I feel to what I'm hearing, I think that we have to hold off on the sale. That's me. We have to give the SEP and the community the chance to see what we want to do with it. Doesn't mean that we can't put it back. I think we have to be fair.
So in 9 months, by December 16th, you're looking for a preliminary plan of what the community envisions for the space. But until then, you'd like to take the property off the market.
Makes sense.
I agree. I think it makes sense.
I just think we owe something to Tyler for waiting this long, and we've already been back and forth and making wait.
And again, all due respect,
I don't see the harm in putting in there that in 9 months, if this doesn't work and we really decide to sell it, then we have the option to sell it.
But if somebody comes in with a higher bid, if they so choose.
A lot can
But we've
change in
already
9
got an
months.
agreement with him on the price now, so.
But a lot can change in 9 months if the community finds vision for, you know, whatever the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail is going to bring in, whatever the 4th Street property has to offer, as far as, you know, its piece in our economic vitality, then, you know, a lot can change in 9 months. Somebody might find more value in that property, you know,
Than
and
$100,000.
than $100,000, which could bring a lot more growth to Swanton.
You got a valid point.
And that's where I think, you know, Sean said it earlier, and that's what Dick's saying, his evaluation. We could be getting more. With all due respect to Tyler, it's a great offer. And I've had conversation with you guys. I beat myself up over it. I think that maybe let's step back from that. You know,
Are we legally committed?
No, we haven't
Well,
signed
we
up.
haven't signed, a purchase and sales agreement.
No, we only made a motion to go into,
To accept the offer.
set the offer. Yeah. All right,
Should bring it to vote, Jim.
yep, you made the motion, who seconded it? Earl
Earl
seconded
seconded
it.
it.
All right, we done with discussion amongst us. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Thank you, folks, for all your support tonight, some of your kind words.
Do you guys understand the motion and what we've done?
Got thumbs up.
Can you, Mark, can I speak now?
Yes.
Go ahead, Gordon.
Could you just repeat, and I'm sorry, so
I made the motion to take.
you had a deal, we had a deal with Tyler, we asked for time, but now you've taken the property totally off the market, is that right?
For the 9 months, yes.
So Tyler doesn't get the land when, if in fact.
That was my motion, correct.
If at some point it's decided that the best thing is to sell the land, then what would be wrong with bringing it up and letting everybody in town know that it's available for sale and going ahead with the sale? I mean, we don't have to decide tonight. We've had an interested person. That person may still be interested. That's part of buying and selling property. We don't owe anything. It may be more valuable. Who knows? We've said that here tonight.
Then you just put it back on the market.
That's
Yep.
right. We don't decide tonight who's going to get it.
No, I didn't, right.
No.
And I understand, and I respect, and I respect what the select board did, and I certainly respect everyone's opinion. I just, sorry. The property did sit on the market for a while, and someone did come up willing to buy it. We've asked for time, and I appreciate the time. I just questioned the part about taking it totally away from Tyler, but the motion's been made, I realize, and that's just my opinion. Thanks.
Thank you, Gordon.
Hey, James, can you hear me?
Yeah, who's talking?
This is Chris Yates.
Okay.
Could you also make a second motion if you wanted to entertain Tyler's offer as a first offer to the table? I understand you just made a motion to take it off the market, but you could always make a second motion, couldn't you, to entertain his offer before you put it back on the market?
Yep, we could do that. Thank you, Chris.
Norman Stanislaus here.
Yeah.
I'm Tyler's dad, and I'm also a taxpayer in the town of Swanton. I'd just like to say a few things that unfortunately I should have maybe came forward earlier. And I do respect everybody that's came out this evening for this cause, and I think the participation is great. However, I'm looking at this from a different position. It's a position where a few years back, we started to invest in the town and the village of Swanton. Originally with a donation to the teen center, and then it started to gain momentum. The next was, well, can you purchase the Wayside Furniture Building to give the teen center the place to go? So that was another piece of investment that took place in Swanton, aside from the initial donation. That attributed to several thousands dollars more of investment into the building to get the teen center up and running, which there was no problem doing. Since then, there has been multiple other investments within the village of purchases of properties from my family. And now we come to this position that we're in currently. And Tyler did step up to the plate to make an offer on a piece of property that was for sale for 7 years. There's no question that Tyler said to me, if the community at large requests to put this on hold for a study, that he's in agreement to this. I do, however, think that not giving Tyler the right of first refusal for that property after he has invested several hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars into this community. And to add another situation, as we know, unfortunately, the teen center was not successful in St. Albans or in Swanton. And Tyler sits there with a vacant building that he pays a mortgage on every month. So I think that the consideration, this is great, that the consideration is going out for the study. However, I think that you have a young person who's invested hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in your community. He's willing to set back and let you take the time necessary to study this. I think by all, even though he's my son, I think out of all respect, he should be given the right of first refusal on this property.
I agree.
I agree with you 100%.
Well, then we can all make a motion that we give Tyler the right of first refusal on this property, should it go back on the market first.
I second.
However, that wouldn't be at that price. It would be at a contested price. Is that correct? I'm trying to
We're not
understand.
talking any money right now. We're just giving him the first right of refusal.
Yeah. All right. You made a motion, you seconded.
I seconded it.
Discussion? I'm good. We have to-
Mr. Moderator,
What's that?
I would just like to make a comment here.
Go
And I've
ahead.
had my hand raised for 30 minutes, so I would like to make a comment also, so I don't understand this process.
I'm getting lost too. I think
Right.
the first thing we need to do is for the select board to look at these people who have attended this meeting tonight and find one or two people that would serve as co-chairs or chair of this committee. Meet with them, and the select board and these individuals could sit down and come up with what they want to do, when they want to do it, and what their long-term goal is. Then they seek from this 60 some odd people, some people who will volunteer to be on the committee. And then they get going, then we come to the end. They have a recommendation, and then you meet with it and go from there. That's all I can think.
Thank you, Ed.
Judy?
Who wants to speak?
Judy Paxman?
Thank you very much.
Judy,
I'm sorry.
speak to the motion that we just had in hand.
I've actually had my hand that used the hand raise function and had my hand up for the last half hour.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's watching that. However, I
Hey,
would like
Judy?
to, can you hear me here?
I can hear you, Judy, but we're in the middle of a motion. Are you commenting on the motion we're in or something else?
Well, I was trying to comment on the last two motions ago. So if you'd like to proceed with this one, I just would like to make a comment at that point, and I do have a question which doesn't seem to be able to be answered. So go ahead with your motion.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Judy.
Okay, so what the question on this motion is, because, and I apologize that I don't understand this specifically, if there is, if Tyler's gets first refusal, I don't understand how that works. Does that mean that he would get to make the same offer, and would that offer be allowed to be contested? Or how is that made public? So that is my question.
I'll answer your question, Judy.
Thank
He
you.
has first option to buy that property if we decide in the future to put it back up for sale. There's no obligation on any price, or no motion on any price. It's just that he has first rights to come forward and buy that property if we decide to sell it.
So he has a first, so he has the first right to make an offer, but that offer would also be allowed open to other people, the community also?
No.
No, he has first.
He's got his first right of refusal to buy the property. Then that would be.
Maybe, I want to amend my motion. I see what Judy's coming to here, and I think she's correct. I want to amend my motion to say that if this property goes back on the market, that town of Swanton would approach Tyler to see if he's still interested and allow him to have the first chance to buy it.
Yep.
We wouldn't put it back on the real estate market and let somebody else in until he refused, or if he didn't want it. Is that clear for you, Judy?
Yeah, so how will the price get determined? Would he be making a bid at that time?
That's right, absolutely.
You know, and that would all be public. It would all be public. Right now, we're pulling it off the market to give the opportunity to try to get something going that I personally feel would be better probably than what's being proposed now. But we want to make sure that Tyler has the right to get back into it because he came forward first.
Okay, thank you very much for explaining that. I appreciate this, and then I do have one comment afterwards, but I am in support of local business. I just want to mention that.
All right.
All set? Okay.
Okay, you're gonna make a new. You got one more up there, Elizabeth.
Paul.
So Paul Rushlow?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
So I new to this Zoom thing, but although I don't agree with exactly what Tyler wants to do in my backyard, I do think that it would be an injustice to not give him the chance to buy the property, although we've already accepted his offer and now the community spoke and we're going to delay it. I think that you would be doing a huge injustice, and I think you would set forth a huge fire if you put it back up on the market and didn't give Tyler the option to have that property when our 9-month plan on a piece of property that hasn't had a plan for 7 years now has a plan, and we're going to argue about what that plan is going to be. So we're going to postpone it. I think the property has to go to Tyler hands down if we can't come up with our plan in 9 months. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Paul.
I believe that Tyler has the right to make a bid in 9 months, and I appreciate the fact that he's made the investment in this community at this time, because I think it's very important. But I think I don't understand this process. I think that he should be able to make a bid.
Okay.
We're running away here.
James.
Yep.
Who's taking the minutes right now? Nobody.
Elizabeth is.
Okay, what was my motion? So, because I don't believe it got seconded.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Could you read the motion just to make sure we all understand it?
Oh, you want me to read my? So Tyler has the right to make an offer in 9 months before you decide to put it on the market, if you decide to put it on the market.
Okay.
He has the first right.
He has before we go
That's right,
anywhere.
before we even decide to sell it, when we come to that point, if we're gonna sell it, he has the first right to buy it.
I think it has to be on the market though. I could be wrong.
No, I don't think it is.
No, I think it.
Because that's why you give him the first right of refusal.
What was the first motion?
You have to amend your first.
Specifically, that is the right of first refusal.
Right.
Yeah,
That's the first.
so this is an amendment to the first motion.
Yeah.
You have to vote on the amendment first.
Well, we already voted the first motion to delay it.
Right.
Yeah.
We did.
Yes,
That's
we're
right,
making
right,
another
right
whole
now.
motion.
Right
This
now.
one's done and over.
Yeah.
We're making a motion now to give Tyler the first right of
I know,
refusal.
but that
That's
motion
it.
was already made.
Yes.
Yeah, and
he's
it's
amending-
voted. Oh,
And
we
he
just
said-
been in discussion.
No, I think he clarified it.
Yes,
You clarified it.
so I amended my original motion to clarify it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If you amend the motion, you
Yeah.
have to vote on the amendment
Yeah.
first.
Okay.
And we haven't
Then you vote
voted.
on the motion as amended.
Okay.
Okay, so
all
we'll
right.
vote on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment that Ernie,
Aye.
signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. So we got the amendment. Now we're gonna vote on the motion.
Main motion as amended.
Make motion as amended. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. There we go.
So can we
Thank you,
just
Aaron.
clarify for people in the chat that if in 9 months, SEP and the community partners decide that selling the properties that makes the most sense,
Yep.
then Tyler gets first option.
Yes.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that in 9 months, necessarily the decision will be, it may go out for a vote. in March. But if in 9 months they come back and decide it needs to be sold, then that is the
Well,
option.
I don't think we put 9 months on it, though.
You did in
Yeah.
the original.
Yeah. Did we put 9 months?
Can
Okay.
I make a statement here? I just don't want to see any problems for the board or anybody
Yeah.
else.
Go ahead, Sean.
Just on the legal concept of right of first refusal, there's a difference between first
Yes.
option and right of first refusal. If you use the term right of first refusal, it means that he has the ability to match anybody else's offer. So right of first refusal means just that. I get an offer, say, as kind of, I think I understand where Judy's going with this more. If somebody offered 125,000 on it, then he has the ability to match that offer and he gets it, not them.
Right.
And so I think that's where Judy's heading in this, but make sure that if the board believes they want either right of first refusal or first option being he gets it at the price that you dictate either now or currently what he's already offered, whether that's agreed to or not, then I would make sure that you on the legal side, because again, I don't want you to get into hot water, that you understand the difference between the two, because right of first refusal and first option are two different things. And I just want to make sure that you and both the folks that are watching understand that, or at least what your intentions are is what's happening. So,
Yes.
Sean,
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
You do have.
thanks, Sean. Sean, thank you for clarifying, because that was my misunderstanding of my motion. So again, thank you. Yes.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, so I do have a couple of hands up. Paul, is your
We're
hand?
not, we're over with what we were discussing.
Okay,
What,
so we're done?
oh, yeah, we're. Somebody else want to speak real quick? Yeah, someone had their hands up,
Michelle, go ahead.
because we're moving on
Thank-
here.
Thank you. I appreciate that you want to move on, but I also think it needs to be accurate in your intent as Sean was explaining. And I think that's where the confusion is headed for, the people who are listening here. So the first right of refusal is appropriate to give Sean his appropriate due, but in order to do that, it would need to go onto the market and allow for other bidders to bid on it. And that's what Judy was referring to. So just be very clear about what you're asking. I think the first right of refusal is appropriate, but if you choose otherwise, then the motion would need to be amended.
Once it goes back on the
That's what
market.
we mean. Refer to
Yes,
people.
yes, but you said it wouldn't go on back onto the market, and that is in contrary to right of refusal. That's why you're confused.
I got it, I'm understanding. Anybody else before we move on?
One second,
Yeah.
not to load the airwaves tomorrow night, but the planning commission is meeting tomorrow night.
All 68 can join Jim tomorrow night. He appreciate that. Yours.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank you, Jim. We all good? Okay, we're moving on.
We have to make a motion to come out of that.
And you're all welcome to
I don't
stay.
think we made a motion. No problem here, did we? No. Yes, we're closing the public hearing at 9:25.
Yeah. 4th Street.
Thank you, folks, everybody that attended tonight. We really appreciate it.
And thank you
Yep,
for bearing
thank you.
with us through the technical difficulties.
Now I gotta figure out where we are.
Next is the.
Hearing for street name.
Hearing for a name. Hopefully this is quick. Yeah. Great. Street name. Street name, yep.
This is a.
Talk quick, David.
Well, you need to open the hearing.
We gotta open a public hearing for the street naming on the Sweet Hollow Road, off of Sweet Hollow Road
For a new development.
for a new development. Looks like Trails Edge Drive, is that what you recall?
Right.
Okay,
And this is development of new subdivision up there. They were proposing a name that conflicted with an existing town street.
okay,
So it was not acceptable, and I called the developer and asked him to propose some others, and the one that was acceptable was the Trails Edge Drive, which he's.
That's
So, under the 911 ordinance, the select board has authority and duty to name new streets, even if they're private. So, that's what this is about. And it's to take public comment, discussion by the board, if you accept that name. And that'll be the official name
of a private road if you vote to approve it. So that's about it. And once you do approve the name, I can then issue 911 numbers for each of those households.
Yeah, I've seen it. I know, I actually have driven by there.
Oh, is there anybody on tonight that's here for that road naming? I don't think so.
You're next, Joanne.
I don't know. That's something else.
You got some questions.
No, yeah.
Well.
So all I need is a motion to approve this, road.
And David, they came in, that it was proposed by the developers, nobody's living there now anyways, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
Uh,
But once they, he has lots of for sale, so.
Yeah.
The first thing the utility companies ask for is a
Name,
name,
right.
before they even issue services, so.
I'll move the name, the road.
Trails
Timber
Edge Way.
Yeah, Trails Edge Drive.
Trail Edge Drive.
Yep. That's what it says on here. That's what we're going with. And a second on that?
I'll second. Read the motion, I think that's.
Read what motion?
On the back page.
The,
25, page 6.
Page 6.
Public notice. Yeah, I need to read this whole notice, David.
No, just the name of the street.
I just read the name of the street.
Trails Edge Drive.
Trails Edge Drive.
Okay, you're all good there.
Yeah, that's what the motion is. I move that we name the road Trails Edge Drive.
You already said that. We're good
Yeah,
there.
no, I just wanted to be sure.
I will
I
second
said
that
it 3
motion.
times. You second it? Any other discussion on this road renaming or naming? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Trails Edge, perfect. Done. Oh, excuse me. Discuss art board disband members, page 7.
Hi, it's Sil. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for taking the time to discuss the art boards and future public art for Swanton with us. I'm thinking by now you might have heard that we have made an agreement with the village. Swanton and the village have accepted together an agreement with our MOU and guidelines and documents regarding installing the art boards and hopefully future art, public art. And I believe that you've received all the documents from Michelle
Correct. Yep.
and hopefully had time to review them.
I have. So yeah. Yep, we looked at them.
And has your attorney been able to look at them as well?
We have not had our attorney look at them.
Okay. So I think at this point, we're kind of wondering, do you need something else from us, or do you want to ask us any questions, or can we give you any more information?
This is Mark. I think you guys did a great job putting this together. I really think it could be a positive impact for the community again. I'm sure you guys put a lot of time into it. The only question or challenge that I have are really 2 of them. And I did chime in on the Zoom for the village. And I think Adam touched on it. And I'm going to kind of touch on it again. About taking the boards down, bringing them home and putting them back up. I really have a concern with the liability issue of that, of somebody getting up there on a ladder, falling, removing their boards, the town being liable. And here you have a spot that says they're not liable, but I really have a concern with that. I think that we can be liable. I just would rather not see these people taking the boards down, and bringing them home and putting them back up.
Okay. You're correct. There is something in the, is it the guidelines or MOU, Michelle, that
Yeah,
is protecting you?
yeah, and I see that. I'm gonna ask the lawyer to look at that, because I kind of question that, whether that's, we're not liable. I think we still are liable.
Yes, I think we compared it to something like the Swanton Beach where, people swim at their own risk.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
not,
think-
if somebody drowns, they still maybe could go after you, but you're telling them very clearly they're there at their own risk.
Yeah.
And it's a
maybe
similar scenario.
It could be, but yeah, I think we'd rather have a look at it. And secondly, I'm just not too keen on them climbing up a ladder, removing boards and falling. I would rather see the board stay in place and the work be done. That's just my personal opinion. Other than that, I think you guys have done a tremendous job with this. It really looks great. And I think the positive impact is far outweighs anything we've seen so far.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just look forward to the attorney feedback. We did have the village attorneys look at it. They didn't find that of concern. We do address it many times, both in the MOU, but also to the artist arrangement. But an added provision is that they don't have the right to remove them without permission and presence of town officials and SPAN. So they can't do it on their own. And otherwise, if they do, it's a violation and they could be, penalized or exited from the program.
No, I understand that. Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, it's an option, but it's a heavy weighted option and it's highly considered. But we certainly can talk that through. Any other concerns?
I would just like to make another statement on that, Michelle. I just want you to recognize, an artist puts up a painting, they may, want that to keep. And that's part of why we want this to be in place, because we value that. And there's another thing that I learned from the history of the art walls and boards is that when they take that piece of art with them, that piece of plywood, they also replace it with a new piece of plywood, which helps the project, which helps the boards. So there's some advantages of them knowing maybe that they want to paint something because it's very, very valuable, their time, their art, but they choose to keep it. That means it has to come down and they are responsible to put another board in.
Understood. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to have somebody take that board down, somebody from public works or something, take it down, put it up?
No, I don't want to get involved with that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything else. I think it was
Yeah.
great.
No,
Great.
I think we just need to have our lawyer look at this. Basically the same remark, only a couple of concerns. I think it's a great thing.
Have you guys had any ideas of where in the town you were thinking of putting some?
So that's a very good question. As we established in the agreement, that would be a discussion after we have the project, I'm sorry, the foundation, the framework established. We would come to you and also ask you, like, maybe we would come up with a town location. I'm not exactly sure, honestly, all the public locations of town-owned property. But you may have some ideas. Like I'm maybe a little ignorant, but I thought out by John's Bridge was actually town-owned property, but I learned that it's actually village. So
Right.
okay, I'm doing stuff. So anyway, I don't know. Priscilla?
No, I think what we've discussed in SPAN is that we're open. We would like to hear some of the possibilities. And I don't know if any of us have any specific spaces that we're looking at.
Yeah, no, I was just curious. I'm sure we could figure something out, but I didn't know if you had any already in mind.
And remember, we're not trying to force art anywhere, we just don't want to say, well, we got to have art on a town-owned property. We just want the possibility so that if it does come up, we don't have to come up with the terms and conditions at that time, right? So we're establishing the foundation and the arrangement so that if that does happen in the
You gotta
future.
come closer 'cause you'll block the light. All right. Sorry.
Sorry, so
Thank you.
I understand. Okay, so while our attorney take a look at this and, you know, before we finalize it,
thank
and
you.
we'll go from there.
Do you have any other concerns or questions?
I don't. You guys have anything else on it?
No,
No,
I think it's very well put together. Thank you.
I agree. Good job.
Yep. Thank you, folks.
We look forward to
Um,
working with you. So-
Can we make a plan on when we can come talk with you again?
We can reach out to our attorney, and once we get our attorney to look at those things and his opinion back to us, then we can reach out to you folks to come back with us with our decision.
Michelle,
Okay.
did you hear that? Because I couldn't hear.
I did hear that. I still will think that we'll reach out to you in a month's time to make sure that it's still in motion. We just don't want it to
That's
fall
fine.
on.
No, we'll
Okay.
have, send this out tomorrow and hopefully hear back from him in a week or so. But,
Of course.
yep,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Community economic development updates,
You want the good news or the bad news?
quickly, whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was sick in bed for a week, so there's only 1 week to report on. Most of that was spent working on the Riviera Hotel. We're doing the application was submitted for it to get into the umbrella program, which is the brownfield reuse and limited liability program, and that leads to additional funding. So that's been done. We are also talking to, and I need to get with you, Earl, you're talking to some investors who are looking, and James, I know you've been on some of these conversations. We have some people looking to invest in the Swanton Highgate area. And we gave them a list of projects, some we talked about the Southern Grove District, spec buildings, because as you know, we talked about people are looking to come to from Chittenden County and from Canada, but they want buildings. They don't want to go through the whole permitting construction. They want buildings and we don't have an inventory. So that was one of them. To make a long story short, we settled first on the LDRT. Because that is the hot item right now. That's what everybody's really interested in. There's a lot of momentum. So we're going to be getting together to talk of what kind of investment opportunities there are. We have to fold in Northwest Regional Planning and some other partners. It's going to be a long-term project. But there is interest in investing in the Swanton Highgate area. So those conversations are continuing. Earl, I don't know if you know that I work for Franklin County Industrial Development 2 days a week, a day and a half a week, whatever. Every month, at the beginning of the month, we get a list of new businesses for the county. And so we started reaching out. We just got them the last 2 months. So we're starting to reach out to those businesses and say, hey, welcome, what can we do to help you? Because it's hard enough to start a business pre-COVID, but trying to start in the middle of COVID is probably a little intimidating. So outreach to those new businesses, and we're still trying to get information out. We've got the 2.7 billion that's coming down. What is that going to mean for small businesses? So getting all of that information, understanding what it is, so then we can push it out to businesses. There is the shuttered vendor operator that will for those businesses that had to close, particularly hair salons and gyms. We're waiting for that application process, so we kind of got my eye on that. But that's kind of the broad overview of the week that I remember prior to last week.
would you have COVID?
No, just the flu.
Yeah.
Just I think tested, so.
You didn't be
Oh, yes. So I did.
Northwest Regional Planning.
Yeah. So at the meeting,
Reorg meeting.
the organizational meeting, David hadn't heard from Ross yet, is my understanding, hadn't heard from Ross about whether or not he's still wanting to be on there. I don't think Ross is still on here. He was earlier.
Well, he did respond last week in an email that if no one else was interested, he would give it a try again. Last year there was 0 attendance. He said that was because new baby and so forth. So it's up to the board.
So
I
I
want to keep the list on for.
I go anyway because I represent the village, but if that is something he is interested in and wants to do it again, I'm happy. Or if you want to open it up to somebody else to give them a shot at being commissioner. I just thought about it afterwards, and then when David said that Ross said he'd be willing to give it another try, the more voices there are, the better it is. So I'm.
But you want a whole year to go to 80 meetings, I mean, how interested are you really into it?
We can leave it as it is, but I just wanted to.
Or
If it wasn't so late, I'd have a lot of questions.
We'll talk about that
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah, and we can leave it open, you're already going, so. it's- We can, yeah, we can come back to it next meeting, put it on the next meeting schedule. It's too late to argue about this back or, yeah, it's not that important tonight, so, yeah. Anything else, Elizabeth?
No, not
All right. Sounds good to me, I don't have any questions. Nope. Highway, we already did expenditures. Discuss purchase of new Phantom truck. Now I've lost my train of thought. We have 3 different estimates on a new truck to replace. We have money in their truck replacement fund to replace the truck. We were gonna replace one of the trucks. It wasn't the oldest truck because of the problems with it, but they won't give us nothing for trading for it. So it's about the worth the price of scrap metal. So it's might as well just keep it. It's 190,000 for a new truck. Completely set up. The truck we were going to trade in is 2012. They're out for 25,000 for it. It's not even worth. It's not even worth trading it in for that kind of money.
Could we get more if we went to public auction?
We could try that. We could put it out to bids to see if there's any interest, or we could keep it for spare truck, which isn't a bad idea.
Well, they're gonna store it outside or?
We can put it in one of the garages or where they'll find a place for it. But
Now, are they gonna reuse the dump, the plow?
no, everything's all brand new.
Everything's all
Brand new
brand new.
truck, chassis, plow, film, everything.
That's 190,000, completely furnished.
Completely furnished, no trades, yeah.
So would they drop that down to 165 if you traded or no?
No, that's, I gotta go back to them because they said 190,000, they're all 3 of the estimates were around 190,000. And they're, 2 of them said that they take the truck and trade, they're both out saying 25,000, which is pathetic in my words for what they'll give us for it.
Do you think we could get, if we tried to sell it?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, they have 2 of the same trucks, one of the dealers that we're looking at buying from, the same exact trucks up, they're selling now for about 45,000, they're asking for. We're the same exact model. It's not, it's.
Mileage wise, we shouldn't be high mileage.
I think it's only got 50, 60,000 miles on it, I think that many miles on it, but. It's one of them motors that International made themselves and the motors don't. There's always a problem with emissions, there's always a problem with something. So.
How old is the oldest truck?
Now you really need anything.
I'm just wondering when that one's
I
gonna
think,
be.
that- I wanna guess, I think the Max are 2006, and the Volvo is a 2007 maybe.
When do you feel then we'll need
The
to?
Volvo has a new body on it, we just put a new body on it last year. The Mac is, basically paid, it's been paid for forever because we had insurance claim on that and then we rebuilt it. And that has a newer body on it also, the Mac.
I just worry if we replace not the oldest one.
Yeah.
Where we're gonna be.
Well, the worst part is the oldest one, the Mac, runs best. So, and that was our intention to try to get rid of the one that we're having problems with. But if they aren't gonna give us nothing for it, we're not gonna give it away. Was my theory.
Yeah, 25 seems really low.
It's terrible, but no one wants those trucks because unfortunately it has it's a problem motor in it. There's always a problem. The emissions are terrible on them.
You said it was an international?
It's international.
The motor itself can't be replaced or updated to something that's better.
No, because all the emissions on them is a problem. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe sometimes 20 bird hands worth 2 in a bush.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're saying this,
Yeah.
And I just know from my brothers
Yeah.
and stuff, when you come to equipment, well, stay away from that model.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's what we had the discussion about. We say, well, maybe we'll go with Western Star this time instead of International. You know, because you know, it's hard because we have two internationals, we got a Volvo and we got a Mac. And, you know, we got one international we have all the problems with, so. Do we buy another one? I mean, now they don't make that motor anymore, they go back to Cummins or Detroit, we get a choice of, which is good motor.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is keeping the other one and hoping something good happens.
Yeah.
It never happened because of the reputation that truck had.
Yeah.
Maybe you better take the 25,000 now, you know, and be done.
And it's not, it's probably, it's the emissions that always on the engine. The emissions get plugged up, and then once a year, you gotta bring it back to dealer, it's like $6,000 to have it all redone and.
No, I don't disagree with getting rid of it and getting something that's more, that you ain't gonna have to, you can't really afford all that downtime anyway, especially in winter.
And the other thing is, if we had the truck, my theory is that the truck is such a low value to anybody or for trade, we're probably better off to keep for a spare. If we got a truck now, jump in that one and go. You know?
I hope it goes.
I hope it goes, you know, it's like any of them, I guess, you go to the shop once we start that day.
Well, I mean, that's an added truck that you have to maintain, that's an added truck you have to insure, that's, I mean, an added cost.
I don't know.
Keep it hanging around.
But the,
Do you have enough money in the fund for the sweeper and the truck?
yeah, two different funds. We got 206,000 in the, I got my notes in there for the, truck.
20,703.
Yeah, 200,700. I got my notes here. For the truck. So we have enough in there to purchase the truck.
Is the truck already built?
No, it has to be built, and it depends on which truck we purchase.
And how long does that take?
Could take up to a year to get the truck, depending on which way we go. If we take the one that got in stock, and paint it to our color, we can have it by fall, with about time with snow flies. Takes that long to build it.
So why wouldn't we take and advertise our truck?
We could do that. We could advertise it after we get our new truck. And
Then worst case scenario, when it comes D-Day, if we decide that we don't want to take the 25,000, well, we got the extra truck. Meanwhile, my thoughts are, if you're seeing the identical truck for 45, let's put ours out there for 39.5.
We could try.
It's better than 25,000.
Either you put it out the bids, you know, or you got, either you put it out there that.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You
Put it
have
out
the first right to refuse any of the bids or whatever, and.
Are you gonna be able to make it? If that truck's gonna take a year, you sell that truck, you're gonna make it through the winter.
I wouldn't sell it to the other.
Not unless we had another.
No.
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
you're probably gonna get less than 25 over the next year.
Yeah, probably, yeah, that's the sad part, but they tell us, if we take one that they have in stock, then we can have it by fall, with the body on it and stuff. If we special order from the factory, we just time before we got it.
And you're dealing with different.
There's three different dealers, you got Clark's and Charlie Boys, and I think the only G&D.
And they all would be on the same schedule delivery wise.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. More of it is the getting the body and the plow put on is the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing here. That's what the guy told us. He was at the shop last week, that where the bodies come from. And he said, if you take a stock truck, you can have it by fall, but if you order from the factory with us doing it, you're gonna be a year out.
I just worry without replacing one of the two older trucks. If you deplete your funds now, what's gonna happen in a couple of years when this truck is 15 years old? That's
Well, the problem is, if we replace the Mac, we're gonna be lucky to get 10,000 for that, you know? So we go back into the point that we're gonna get 10,000, we also keep it for a spare truck. You know,
Then again, it's an added cost, added insurance, added.
it is, but it's not that much of a cost, you know, for the insurance and the. You don't realize how handy it is to have a spare truck. If you,
I do realize my father has a trucking company.
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
well aware how
Yeah.
convenient it is.
No. And we used to years ago, and when we bought the last new truck, we had two spare trucks and we traded them both in. Which we probably should have got one back then.
What do we put away a year for the truck fund?
75,000.
37.5.
Yeah, 37, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, that's just my only worry is a couple years down the road, get the older one. Get to that point.
Yeah, that's all.
I certainly trust you guys' judgment if you feel it's best that it's time. I certainly have to trust you guys' fact that you guys are the ones that do it all the time. So.
If you want to go that way and get rid of the oldest truck, I wouldn't get rid of the oldest truck. I would keep the Mac for spare. I really would. I wouldn't get rid of it. And it doesn't matter to me which, I mean, if you think you want to get rid of the oldest
No,
truck. My whole intention was that would seem to be the problem truck. So let's get rid of it. But now we realize that it's not, you can't get nothing for it. So.
Either way.
Yeah.
So you need a motion or something that says,
I would like a motion to spend up to 195,000 on the can truck. That'll give us a little room if we got extra lights or whatever we need to put on it. That it's on
I'll second.
there.
Who made a motion?
I'll make the motion.
You did.
Up to 195,000.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion? No. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nice have it. The other thing was on there is a sweeper attachment for the loader. We have a 1942 probably sweeper that we tow behind the tractor. That's about pathetic of use. I looked into getting a sweeper to go on our payloader that, we can go in these developments and sweep the roads and the stuff that we have to do and have trouble with cleaning them up. We have a lot of these private developments now that we put out, make life a lot easier. I got 2 different quotes on the sweeper for the loader. Beauregard's was a cheaper one, and they got one from John Deere, one from Beauregard's. They give 2 different size options, but to compare apples to apples, the Beauregard's was 20,000. No, excuse me. John Deere Nortrax was 20,000 for their 108-inch broom parts and labor installation, and Beauregard's was for 16,125 for the same size. But they also offered a 120-inch broom, which is a 10-foot broom, which would be better, for 17,650. And then they also offered it with the water sprayer, the 85-gallon water kit that goes on to keep the dust down or sweeping, which I think is a no-brainer at $28.50. So if we bought the 10-foot broom from Beauregard's with the 85-gallon water kit, the total would be $20,500. Yep. Beauregard's is a better buy. You get more for your money. And I propose to take, we have a highway equipment replacement fund. I want to take 10,000 out of there, or we can take 10.5 out of there, and I want to take the other 10,000 out of the contingency fund that we have. From the highway, yeah.
Are those funds replenished every year too?
The highway equipment fund is, yeah. And we actually make our tractor payment out of that
highway fund, you're saying?
Yeah, there's 2 different funds. We have one that's a truck replacement fund.
Yeah.
And then the other one's it's the equipment rental and purchase account. And that's, we purchased, like we bought the loader through that, we bought the tractor through that. We paid cash for backhoe.
Right, the equipment.
Yeah.
The equipment replacement is actually an expense in the highway fund.
Well, you're
It's a
on the
line item
property
every
tax.
year. So, and it pays usually the payment on, like it's paying the payment on the tractor right now. And we usually have a little extra in there in case we want to buy something.
It was a sinking funding.
That's the contingency fund now, which
Oh,
is
okay.
where the other money's coming out of. That's
Okay.
where the 10,000 is coming out of,
Okay.
which is the highway, it's a savings account for the highway.
Come under me, I mean, certainly.
I guess we could go with the,
Or,
well, is there? Of course, John Deere's usually higher than everybody else.
Yeah.
But quality wise, you don't have an
basically the
issue.
same sweeper, like you tell me, it's the same thing. Just 2 different dealers.
The hydraulic run.
Yeah, hydraulic run, hydraulic angle, everything, quick catch. Yeah. I think it's a good investment. It's something you can use in the job site, you know, to replace the culverts, sweep up the road.
They do quite a bit of that every year now.
There's quite a bit, a lot of roads, a lot of development we get seen on. So with this, they can sweep it up with this, sweep it in the bucket of the backhoe, you know, it'll save a lot of groundwork. Right. Yeah. Because the other one's just a towable thing, you know, it just sweeps in one roll.
What are we doing with that?
The old one? I don't know, you think about that, tell you the truth.
Hydrants?
No, I probably were some a few months, but I do make a good job. No. Yeah. But I don't see any use, we have a use for it, I could bought this one, but I don't know about the guys first, but I just put it up here, if someone wants to buy it.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to much for it, but.
How quickly would we get this? new
The sweeper, they told us about 5 weeks to have it installed, so. Yeah. And the actual board guards are quicker, no tracks, they will be up to 1, so.
The
that way
Borger price
hopefully we can have it.
is how much? Was that the
The one we're looking at for Borger is 20,500.
And that includes the water tank.
That includes the water tank, and it's 1 foot larger than Nortrax is estimated.
And that's the wide one?
That's the 10-foot wide, yeah.
Okay.
Then Nortrax is only 9 foot wide, they priced out. Yeah.
I'm gonna make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make that motion to spend up to 20,500 on the sweeper. Based off quote from Beauregard.
Okay.
I second.
All right. Any other discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Newspaper. That thing has like 7 minutes left, and we don't know what happens after the 7 minutes.
Perfect. We'll hurry up then. I'm almost there. I can read real fast.
Any other?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I don't have really any other updates for the highway at this point. I think we spent enough time on that one. Any other necessary business? Anything, David? Amen. Public comment? Anybody? For our camera guys? Go ahead, Heather.
I have my hand raised.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say I really appreciate what you did here tonight. I think you really listened to the people, and I'm grateful. So thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
Great night.
You too.
Yeah, Michelle?
Michelle?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I know you wanted to move on out of public hearing, but I think you did so without actually voting on your amended motion. So if you review the minutes, I'm sure you'll find that to be the case. And that would be a detriment to Mr. Stanislaus in the future.
We're all set. No, we
I think you did. I think
Yeah, no, we did.
Yeah, we did.
On the main motion.
Didn't.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Anybody else under public comment? For the camera guys? I think we're good. Upcoming events, planning commission meeting Wednesday, March 17th to 6 p.m. by Zoom. Development Review Board Thursday, March 25th, 6 p.m. by Zoom. Next select board meetings April 6th, 7 p.m. by Zoom. Executive session, I hear a motion to go in executive session for legal, real estate, and personnel.
I move that we enter executive session for the select board to receive confidential legal, real estate, personnel information for which the premature disclosure of it, the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage.
Why we're all here?
No, you're on executive session.
Oh, all right. All in favor?
Second.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Who seconded it? You did? All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Ed?
Aye.
Aye. Earl?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Mark, aye. James, aye. Okay.
I move that based on the just made findings, the premature disclosure would place the select board and others at the substantial disadvantage. We enter executive session.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Aye.
Earl?
Aye.
Aye, James, aye. Nice have it. Yeah, I'm right behind you. We're now in executive session at 10 o'clock. Action taken, none.
I'll move, we adjourn the meeting.
Sounds good to me. You got a second on that?
I'll second it.
Yep, second Ed. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nice have it. Whew.